We are we're live. We are live. It's Medical Monday. It's Medical Monday, and what a Monday it is. I'm Dr. Frita. Welcome to Medical Monday, where we talk about all of the hot health topics in the headlines. And let me tell you right now, today we have a plenty. We're going to start off with a new segment where I'm giving you your weekly dose, where I'll just go over very briefly some of the hot medical headlines that everyone's talking about. And then we'll get into a few of our main topics. We're going to definitely talk about the fake dentist. Yes, y'all know I live right here in the Atlanta area, and we had someone who professed himself to be the king of veneers. He was giving all of the celebrities veneers. He was teaching classes. Come to find out, he's not a dentist at all. And so he's been charged with at least 8 counts of felony. Okay, we'll talk about that. And then we will talk about a few other things, just some updates. Rich Homie Quan, we talked about our rapper and performer we lost. Well, now we have an official cause of his passing away. So we'll talk about that today. Then we'll talk about Mathew Perry. We know that he lost his life due to a ketamine overdose. But guess what? His physician has been charged and is pleading guilty. And there's another physician who is facing 120 years in prison due to her involvement with his ketamine. We will definitely get into that. And we'll talk about Dikembe Mutombo, the Hall of Famer basketball star who lost his life to brain cancer. We'll also give a quick update on John Amos. Y'all know him from Good Times and everything else, what a mark he made. But we'll talk about his cause of death and that latest update. And then, of course, we'll have some of our main stories. We'll get more into the dentist. We'll talk about breast cancer because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as celebrities share how they first got their diagnoses of breast cancer. And then I got one that just might surprise you. We're talking about Cardi B. Yeah, Cardi B, because she shares that she had some more of her butt shots removed. All right, let's get into it. Go ahead and like and share this video as you come into here for evidence-based medicine, and get your questions together because we're going to have a live Q&A. I'm Dr. Frita. Welcome to Medical Monday. Oh my goodness, y'all, I could just hardly get these topics out. We have so much to talk about, but y'all know I'm not talking about it by myself. Let's welcome my co-host and my practice manager to the stage, Shador. How you doing, Shador?
Hey, doing pretty good. How's it going, Dr. Frita?
It's going pretty well. There's a whole lot going on, as you know. Last week we talked about kind of moving through Hurricane Helene, sending up prayers for people who were affected by that. I talked about my daughter and how I had to evacuate her. But now we have another hurricane, Hurricane Milton. And, I was raised in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm from Florida. My parents are still there. And it looks like that old hurricane is headed straight to Tampa. And so my parents are evacuating and we're trying to get all the families in order. So we have a lot going on, Shador. You doing okay?
Doing pretty well. Thank you.
All right.
Hope they're on the way up and make it safely.
Thank you. Yeah, they're headed to my house. We're going to have a full house. Well, we have a full house, and then we have a full docket of issues to talk about on this Medical Monday, Shador. So please, everyone in the chat, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Make sure that you share this video. Go ahead and take a look. Copy that link right now. Share it to your Facebook, your Instagram. Share it to your group chat, your family chat. Anyone who needs to hear about evidence-based medicine, go ahead and share it, and we will get into these topics. All right. Okay, well, let's just start off first and foremost with your weekly dose. Well, I'll quickly give you a few updates before we get into our main topic. Weekly dose. Everyone's talking about that dentist, Shador, the dentist here in Atlanta. He was giving people veneers, not only giving veneers, he was charging almost $6,000 for the veneers and charging $6,000 for a training course. Okay. So we can put his picture up. Brandon Dillard. So now he's been charged, and y'all know our DA in Fulton County, Fonnie Willis, is not playing around with him because it is illegal to perform veneers in Georgia if you are not licensed. He is absolutely not a dentist. But look, he's a nice looking guy. He did what looked like some nice looking work, but guess what? When you have complications, there's a situation. So that's the latest, honey. Our fake dentist, our king of the A-list veneers is potentially going to jail. And then another update. Now, we talked about Rich Homie Quan. We know him and that song I love, Lifestyle, my lifestyle, and Type of Way, and all of that. And now we do have an official cause of death for Rich Homie Quan. I want to go ahead and play that clip of the update.
All righty.
Nearly a month after his passing, a cause of death has now been released for Atlanta rapper Rich Homie Quan.
Medical examiners say he died from an accidental overdose. They found 4 substances, including fentanyl and codeine, in his system. After his death, Quan's brother told police he thought he was asleep on the floor by the kitchen. Rich Homie Quan was one of the biggest names in hip hop, especially in the city of Atlanta. He was 33 years old.
Yeah, and we've talked about that a lot. I just want to go back and give some evidence to confirm the cause.
Mhm.
So he had multiple substances, but we know about fentanyl and codeine. And we've talked a lot, Shador, on how many people have accidental overdoses of fentanyl. We know fentanyl is a synthetic narcotic, and all it takes is 2 milligrams. Do you know how tiny that is? It fits on the tip of a pencil, 2 milligrams, and you can overdose. Okay, so make sure that you go to my Instagram, Dr. Frita, my Instagram, and give me a follow there, because I think I pinned it actually. Yeah, I pinned it to the top of my videos, where I talk about pink cocaine, and I just talk about some of the different substances, and I give you an overview of some substances that people are using in party drugs and street drugs and things of that nature. And I touch on fentanyl there. So rest in peace to Rich Homie Quan with the overdose that he had. And for anyone else who's experimenting or doing drugs or trusting people at parties, just be careful, because an overdose can occur. Okay. Another update I want to talk about, Shador, is Mathew Perry. Okay, we know Mathew Perry, the actor, comedic actor who was in Friends. We know he passed away from a ketamine overdose. And the really tough thing with him is that we know that he'd been very candid, very open about his addiction to drugs. Well, he also suffered with anxiety and depression, and he got to the point where he was trusting physicians as well. You should be able to. Well, here's the issue. These physicians were getting him illegal ketamine, and now one of the physicians has pled guilty. Let's go ahead and roll that clip.
Dr. Mark Chavez is expected to plead guilty to conspiring to distribute the surgical anesthetic ketamine. He's one of 5 people, including the actor's longtime assistant, accused by prosecutors of fueling Perry's addiction to the drug. That addiction started during therapy sessions for depression and anxiety. Chavez would be the 3rd person to plead guilty in connection to Perry's death in October of last year. Steve Patterson is joining us now with the latest. Steve, we heard from Chavez's attorney before the arraignment. What did he say?
Yeah, Christine, this is one of those cases where what happened sort of around court was much more interesting than what actually happened in court. This was simply a first appearance, a status hearing. We'll hear maybe when an arraignment hearing will be maybe next week or so, and then we'll get a guilty plea then. But as you mentioned, what happened before court, a little bit more interesting, because it felt like Chavez was sort of being paraded in front of reporters, wasn't able to speak to reporters, but his attorney was. And in doing so, it felt like they wanted to make him more remorseful, more sort of apathetic. And here's what his attorney said. He said, quote, "My client has accepted responsibility for what he's done, and he's cooperating to the full extent that he's able to with the government help to resolve what happened in this case. My client is incredibly remorseful." We also learned that his license was suspended by the California Medical Board a few days ago. But as part of the bond agreement, the judge specifically said, you cannot practice medicine anymore, specifically telling Chavez that he cannot seek employment in the medical field and he cannot be practicing while all of this is going on.
That is really something. It is not worth your license. And you know, it's supposed to be first do no harm, right? First do no harm. And now here we have it. Mathew Perry has lost his life and actually was trusting physicians, medical doctors. And there's someone else who they call the ketamine queen. She has not pled guilty, but she's someone who is allegedly had a hand in the fatal dose of ketamine. And there's another physician, Dr. P, they call her, she has not pled guilty either, but she's facing up to 120 years due to her involvement in ketamine. So make sure that you're careful. You should be able to trust your physicians, but if it's an illegal substance, okay, and something that you can't just go to, you know, your primary care or any kind of run of the mill, and you're kind of a celebrity or you have influence or you have money, power, can sometimes get you in trouble because it can sometimes allow you to have influence and to buy things you aren't supposed to buy. And sadly, even those of us who've taken the Hippocratic oath as medical doctors to do no harm, not everyone is moral. So just be careful. Isn't that something, Shador?
Yeah, that is something.
That's a mess. We have another update. But first, I want to know who's the first one in the chat.
First one today, Miss Julietta. She says, hello, doctor.
Hi, good morning. How you doing, Miss Julietta? Thank you for joining us. All right. And then we also have another update that I'll go through relatively quickly. If we can put up Mutombo. Yeah, Dikembe Mutombo. We know him. NBA star, played for 18 seasons, 7 feet 2 inches tall, 7'2". Do you know what that looks like? He was also inducted into the Hall of Fame. Well, we know that he recently lost his life to brain cancer at the age of 58. So I don't know the specific type of brain cancer, but I could get into that a little bit more. So in the chat, put a 1 in the chat if you want me to spend some time kind of talking a little bit about brain tumors and brain cancer. And I can touch on that if y'all have any questions as we get to our question and answer. So put a 1 in the chat if you want me to spend a little time talking about some of the brain cancers. All right. And then the last update, we know that we had John Amos, who we know him from Good Times. We also know him from Coming to America. What was it? McDowell's instead of McDonald's. You know, he was I could watch that movie 100 times and laugh each time. And then, of course, in Roots. And, you know, he's had some controversy going on. His daughter has been out saying that she didn't find out about him passing away until social media presented it. So there's been some controversy, but reportedly he died from congestive heart failure. And we know that heart disease is the #1 cause of death in this country. And one of the great risk factors for congestive heart failure is ischemic heart disease. So a heart disease when you have like a blockage of flow in the heart arteries. So heart disease was something that took him away. But those are the quick updates for your weekly dose. And now we'll get into our main topics. We'll get into our main topics. All right. Did anyone say they want me to talk a little bit more about brain cancer in the end? If so,
Yes, ma'am. Quite a few ones.
Okay. So I'll go back and I'll touch on that. All right. Well, first, Shador, I do want to talk about breast cancer. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We know that outside of skin cancer, breast cancer is the most common cause of cancer among women. Men can get breast cancer too. We know that. And we do have excellent screenings and treatments that are getting better and better. But breast cancer, of course, is still an issue, and early detection is key. One of the things that I really want to discuss today is celebrities who share their stories. Now, I always say I enjoy when celebrities share their stories, not to be like, had nanny nanny boo boo, misery loves company. But I know that when celebrities share, or people we respect or we follow, or people with influence or money, or people who seem like they have such perfect lives, when they share the very realness of their lives on how cancer can affect them as well, when they share it, it motivates others to go to the doctor, to take care of themselves, and to understand that it's okay. You know, we're all human and we face life the best that we can, and we do what we can to prevent. And once we find out about diagnoses, we do what we can to treat, but there's no shame. And so that's one of the reasons I like to highlight. So as we get ready to roll this clip about breast cancer, I do want y'all here in the chat to go ahead, and if you know of a celebrity, who has been open or shared their journey with breast cancer, go ahead and put that name in the chat. And, you know, if it's someone I'm familiar with, then we'll do a little talking about that celebrity. And if I know the story on how they discovered they had breast cancer, then we'll talk about that here as well. So if you know of a celebrity who is living or has lived with breast cancer, who has shared their story, go ahead and put that name in the chat, and we'll touch on that for this first part. But let's just get some updates on breast cancer and breast cancer awareness.
We are kicking off Breast Cancer Awareness Month with Dr. Karen Knudsen, the CEO of the American Cancer Society and ACSCAN. Welcome back. It's great to have you here. So we want to talk about prevention, screening, and treatment right now. Let's start with screening. What are the latest guidelines?
Yeah, so important. And there's much science behind this. So it's important to know screening guidelines are for women of average risk. What does that mean? Starting age 40, have that discussion with your physician about the right screening plan for you. All women should start their annual screening at age 45. After age 55, women have an option to stay with that annual screening or to go to every other year until they have less than 10 years to live. So even beyond age 75, if a woman has an expectation to live another 10 years, she should still get screened.
What about younger women who don't qualify for a mammogram?
Yeah, well, it's important to understand that there is a rise in breast cancer in the younger population. They may be below this 40. So if there's something that seems amiss, you must be screened. But also important to know who is not of average risk, because risk is more than just about your age. It's your genetics, your family history, your own medical health exposures. So those are the conversations to have as soon as possible with your doctor to understand what's the right screening plan for you.
And there really have been advancements in screening and advancements in treatment.
Absolutely. And that's what's driving down this 44% reduction in breast cancer mortality that we reported on earlier today. Mammograms are not what they used to be. We used to be at 2-dimensional. Now we're at 3-dimensional, much more effective for women whose breasts are difficult to image, like women who have dense breasts who are at higher risk for breast cancer. Treatments have also improved. I'm old enough to remember when breast cancer was one disease. Now we know it's many subgroups that all arise due to different reasons and have to be treated with different therapies.
So many of us learned for the first time about what is called preventive chemotherapy after Princess Kate made her announcement. Explain what's going on there.
This is so incredibly important. There are thousands of women across the country every year who go to mammography and they don't have breast cancer, but they're identified as having a high risk lesion, or maybe they have a genetic risk of breast cancer. They can go on chemo prevention. The studies are quite clear for a large subgroup of these women. They can go on what is a low dose of tamoxifen or estrogen receptor related therapies that can significantly reduce their cancer risk. So beyond just the things that you can do in your healthy living to reduce breast cancer risk, chemo prevention is real for breast cancer.
Yep, we've got all kinds of advances, thank goodness, including that 3-dimensional mammogram. And as we get into further into this discussion about celebrities who've shared their breast cancer diagnoses, Shador, I just want to say a word about the 3D mammogram, because the 2-dimensional mammogram was great when that was the best that we had. But for that 3-dimensional, it actually gives a better picture, and you have a better chance of your breast cancer being screened with the 3D mammogram, especially if you have dense breasts. And I'll say many younger women have dense breasts. Many African-American women, even as we get less young, tend to have dense breasts. Here's the issue. Sometimes you'll go and you'll request the 3D mammogram and your insurance doesn't cover it. For a lot of people, that would deter them, and they'll say, oh, my insurance is not covering it. I'll just do the 2D. Well, I'm asking that you do a few more things. One, ask what the out-of-pocket cost is, because sometimes it's not what you might think. It might not be thousands of dollars. It might be $150. It just depends. But ask what the out-of-pocket cost is. And if the out-of-pocket cost is something that you know good and well, you ran and you spent frivolously on an outfit or some shoes or out to dinner, or on a month's worth of your designer coffee, then ask yourself, am I worth the out-of-pocket cost for the 3D mammogram? And the answer is yes. So I say that to say, ask questions. The other thing is write your insurance company. Call, write, be annoying, have your doctor to get pre-authorizations to make sure that you get the 3D mammogram. But of course, everything I give you on this channel is information, and it does not replace the advice you receive from your physician. So please make sure you talk to your physicians. All right. As we keep moving, go ahead and give us a like, share, and subscribe to our channel here, the Dr. Frita YouTube channel, please. We have over 780,000 subscribers here, and I'm very proud because we actually do give evidence-based information. If you're new to the channel, I am a medical doctor. I'm an MD who has been quadruple board certified. I've been board certified in nephrology, so I'm a kidney doctor, and I'm a high blood pressure doctor. I also have been board certified in internal medicine, pediatrics, and most recently obesity medicine. And so I like to talk a lot about a lot of medical issues and really help to empower you to be your own advocate. So check us out, and like this video. All right, Shadora, do we have anyone who knows of any celebrities who've shared their stories?
Yes, we have a few guesses or long names. This comes from TS. Hello.
Hi, TS. Hey, I'm glad you're back. I like it when you come in, TS. Hello.
TS says Shannon Doherty.
Absolutely, Shannon Doherty. And we talked about her right here on this live. She just recently passed away this summer. And she was relatively young when she got her diagnosis with breast cancer, but she was very open. Make sure you check out my Instagram at dr.frita. Give me a follow there. But I did a short form content. I did a reel where I talked about Shannon Doherty and some breast cancer information. Thank you. That's a good one. Yeah. Any other names?
Yes. Marilyn, hello.
Hi, Marilyn.
He says Richard Roundtree, Shaft.
Yes, Richard Roundtree, a man. So remember, men, we're talking to you too. Though we don't have the same kind of screening process for men with breast cancer, 1 out of every 100 cases of breast cancer, it's in a man. Okay, so men can get it. So pay attention to your bodies, men. Look if you have any asymmetry, like one of your nipples looks different from the other, that's a red flag. Go talk to your doctor about it. If you have any discharge, bloody discharge, milky discharge, any discharge from your nipple, men, and if there's some type of a lump or mass, don't just be like, that ain't nothing, or maybe something hit me. Pay attention to your body, because yes, men can get breast cancer. Richard Roundtree, Shaft. Shut your mouth. Okay.
Then V.E. Hall, hello.
Hi, V.E. Hall. Welcome back.
A few people.
Who?
She named a few people.
Okay, who's your name?
Mathew Knowles.
Mathew Knowles, okay.
Tamara Hall.
I didn't know about Tamron Hall. Did you know about Tamron Hall?
I did not.
Okay. Can you slip back and send us an article or something like that to verify? I was not aware of Tamron Hall.
Robin Roberts.
Yes, I know about Robin Roberts.
And Amy Roba.
Okay. All right. If you could slip for the Amy diagnosis and Tamron Hall, if anyone in the chat, if y'all can slip us a little link or something where they've talked about, Tamron Hall or Amy. But meanwhile, I do want to go ahead and talk about the ones of which I'm aware, Mathew Knowles and Robin Roberts. Let's start with Robin Roberts. Y'all know Robin Roberts. Let's put her image up here. So we know her from Good Morning America. And, she's very outspoken, just an affable, just well-liked, really wonderful person. And she was actually preparing to do a show, because she's someone who shared how she found out. She was preparing to do a show where she was honoring one of her former colleagues. I believe it was John Siegel or Jay Siegel, who had been open about his journey with colon cancer and early detection. And she was, being examined, and she learned that she actually had a breast lump and breast cancer. And she reportedly, I believe she shared that she got diagnosed at an early stage. But what I love about Robin Roberts is that when she shared this story, she made up her mind that she wasn't going to sit up here and just die of breast cancer. She was going to live. And so she shared her story, and she said that it has affected the way she shows up in the world. She's very open about it. And she talks about lifestyle, avoiding a lot of fatty foods, not smoking, not having excessive alcohol, all of those things. And so she really is someone who promotes early detection. So hers was found out by a lump on exam, Robin Roberts. And then let's talk about Mathew Knowles. And again, for anyone, Shador, if you can kind of peek and we can circle back as far as the Tamron Hall, because like I said, I wasn't aware of that one. But for Mathew Knowles, he shared, and again, another man. We know Mathew Knowles is the father of the powerhouses, Solange, and of course, Beyoncé. Beyoncé all on your mouth. Let's play the clip of Mathew Knowles.
That moment that I heard that I had cancer, that was a defining moment for me. And I asked the question, why? Why me? And I remember, Nancy, because I traveled so much, I was going down an escalator in Los Angeles once, and a nun from Mexico had a jar of missionary, please give. And she gave me a card after I gave. And once I heard the word, Mr. Knowles, you have cancer, I immediately went, it's a moment that you're quiet, that you're still. And I thought about what was on the back of that card, which was pray not for a life free from trouble. Pray for triumph over trouble. For what you and I call adversity, God, the universe, whatever name you use, calls opportunity.
Right.
So I view me being diagnosed with cancer and becoming a cancer survivor as an opportunity to share on my platform to others the importance of health and wellness, the importance of early detection.
Wow. So yes, I love that Mathew Knowles speaks out. And for those of you who have been following me for a while, you may have seen that back a few years ago, I actually had the pleasure of being on a panel discussion with Mathew Knowles. I was on there with him. I was on there with T-Boz, and I was on there with the head, the owner, the CEO of Monson Townsend of the Rolling Out magazine. So if you check out right here on this YouTube channel, this Dr. Frita YouTube channel, if you go to TV appearances, you'll be able to find where I was on the panel talking with Mathew Knowles about how he discovered that he had breast cancer. And he said that he liked to call it chest cancer. I think that for some men, it might feel a little emasculating, but quite honestly, it is breast tissue. Men do have breast tissue. So it is breast cancer. For him, he had, little dots of red on his sheets and little dots of red on his white t-shirt, like a little odd red dot that kept showing up, and he was dismissing it initially and then eventually went and got it checked out so he could be treated. So yes, remember, it's not only women, even though it's more common in women, men can get breast cancer as well. All right, has anyone else come up with anyone, or has anyone come up with any like clips or articles for the other names?
Yeah, I did see an article on Amy Robach. She was diagnosed in 2013.
Okay. All right. So she's someone who's come out and been open about her journey with breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, I always appreciate the celebrities who come out and share. All right. Anyone else in the chat? Mention anyone?
Yes, we have Miss Carolyn. Hello.
Hi, Miss Carolyn.
She says Montel Williams.
I didn't hear about Montel Williams. So yeah, if we can have someone to put a clip up of Montel Williams with breast cancer. That's interesting because it's only 1 in 100 men with breast cancer. So if you're able to come back and give us a little clip, I would appreciate it. But I personally was not aware of Montel Williams. All right. Anyone else?
No, that's all for now.
Okay, good deal. All right. Well, I'll share some folks who have shared their stories. One of my favorite ones, because she's right here in the Atlanta area, Dr. Jackie Walters. She is a star of Married to Medicine, the hit Bravo show. And we were at a health fair recently this summer. She was out, and that's another thing I like about her. She was out, she was volunteering at the health fair and everything. But she is someone who has been very open about her diagnosis with breast cancer. And she, even before Married to Medicine, before all of the public fame, she was actually the OBGYN of a close family member of mine. So even before the show, I always heard excellent things about her and her bedside manner. So I have a very high opinion of Dr. Jackie. Well, she has been very open and shared how she first found out. She found out in 2004 about her initial diagnosis with breast cancer. And she said that she was on the other side of the diagnosis. That's a heavy statement, because by her being an obstetrician gynecologist, she's really screening people and diagnosing people with breast cancer routinely as a part of her job. But now it was flipped and she had to be the patient, and that's a hard thing. And so she ended up having to get surgery, chemotherapy, radiation. And then she shared that 4 years later, she had to hear it all again. She got diagnosed with breast cancer twice and then had to have a double mastectomy. Okay, so she's been very active, and she has a nonprofit, something I think 50 Shades of Pink, and she's just really, really, she's active in breast cancer walks. But what I really like that she has shared is that a lot of people look at her as the goody two shoes on that show, Married to Medicine, like the Mother Teresa, because she doesn't smoke, she doesn't drink, she doesn't eat fatty foods. And I go, oh, she's so thin, she doesn't eat fatty foods. It's not just about vanity. Okay, she looks great, but it's not just about vanity. She shared that she does these things to live because she knows that smoking cigarettes is a risk factor for the breast cancer coming back. Drinking excess alcohol, risk factor for the breast cancer coming back. And being of an unhealthy weight or living with obesity or eating a lot of fatty foods, another risk factor. And so she does these things. She says she likes to have fun. So she's not just trying to be holier than thou, Mother Teresa, but she's doing these things to live. And so I like that because it can empower other people not to be ashamed to be a quote unquote goody two shoes. So yes, that's Dr. Jackie. Someone else, we already talked about Robin Roberts, but in keeping with the reality TV stars, we have Kimmy. You have let's put up a picture of Miss Kimmy from Love and Marriage, Huntsville. Ooh, that's Carlos King, the king of reality, Carlos King's show. Love and Marriage, Huntsville. So I remember I started watching that show back first season, and Kimmy is a nurse who's also heavy into real estate, very successful person. She raised her son as a single mom, put him through college. I believe she shared he didn't have to have debt after college. Okay, shouts out to her. And she's married, on the show now. to a husband who she helped to put through law school, but just kind of someone who, you know, clearly you see how she looks fit, she looks healthy. While being on the show, she got diagnosed with breast cancer. And she shared that she just happened to run her hand and just kind of ran across her right breast and she felt a lump. So almost like an accidental self-exam. And from there, she went on to be diagnosed and be treated. But that's just a cautionary tale. There's been controversy as far as the recommendations, the official recommendations for self-breast exams and questions about just how helpful they are. But listen, they don't hurt. And so again, consult with your physicians. What I say is information. It does not overtake or replace the information from your doctor. But I personally do recommend that you still do self-breast exams. It won't hurt and it might help. And so the way we were trained to do them, you lift your arm, you start around the nipple and you go around, you push and you feel around for lumps and you go around in a circular manner, and you make sure you go all the way in the underarms too, because you have breast cancer there and all kind of around the surrounding area of the breast. You know, it's best to do it, you know, about the same time each month, especially, you know, with hormonal changes that can make changes to the way that your breast feels. If you do it about the same time each month, you can even do it in the shower. Okay, where your hands are nice and slippery from the soap, and you go around and you check your breast tissue that way while you're lying down. Consult with your physician and find out what they recommend. But she's a perfect example of just she happened to touch her breast and it helped her to get this life-saving diagnosis, so she was able to be treated. All right. Anyone circle back and put any kind of a clip or anything, Shador, on some of the ones with which I wasn't familiar?
Yeah, so Carolyn circled back, and I also found it as well. She says, I do apologize. Montel Williams, he stated that he was misdiagnosed with breast cancer, and from that misdiagnosis, he had a double mastectomy. He was actually
wow. But that's good though. That's good. Thank you so much for sharing, because that just goes to show when the information gets out there, it can spread. So I appreciate you for coming back and giving us the correct information for him. Oh wow, that's a tough misdiagnosis. What else do you have?
Yeah, he actually said himself that he was in the Marines at 19 years old, misdiagnosed with breast cancer, and later learned he actually had a torn pectoral muscle.
So I wonder if that muscle, it probably showed as some type of abnormality or calcification. Okay, so Montel Williams does not have breast cancer. There was a history of a misdiagnosis. Thank you so much for coming back and sharing that. Okay, and thank you for that article, Shador. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other comments? Okay.
No. While you speaking of men with breast cancer, David. Hello, David.
Hi, David.
He asked us, do men need to get checked for breast cancer on a regular basis?
Okay, so there's no official routine screening recommendation from the American Cancer Society. And the good thing with men is because you all don't tend to have, you know, large breast tissue or pendulous breasts or anything, it's easier to touch yourselves and to see if there's a lump. It's easier to look at your nipple and see if something's off with it, if it's eczematous, if it's looking like, you know, lizard skin or something like that. So no official recommendation. I do say consult with your doctor, but really just look at your body, touch your body, look at both nipples, squeeze both nipples, see if there's anything abnormal. And, you know, you can just do that on a regular basis and consult with your doctor, but no official screening, official mammogram recommendations for men in general. Now, if you have a family history of breast cancer, then there's a possibility that something could be different, but make sure you consult with your doctor.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, good question. Okay. All right. So we'll touch on a couple of other celebrities before we move on. And we are going to get into that fake dentist. Got people out here with veneers and he don't have any kind of license. He's not a dentist. We're going to get into that. And we're going to get into Cardi B and her butt shots being removed. Make sure you go ahead and like this video. Go ahead and like, and share this video. Subscribe to the channel as we keep on moving. All right. Edie Falco. That's another person, Shador. She was is very famous and was a star of The Sopranos. We know about that hit HBO series. She was diagnosed with breast cancer and she actually kept quiet during her, you know, while she was actually, you know, filming, but now she's been open about it. So we know she's an award-winning actor. That's someone who has shared her diagnosis with breast cancer. Who else do we have? We have, oh my gosh. We have a couple I'll talk about toward the end, but definitely we have Katie Couric, you know, and she, of course, is a legendary journalist, anchor. And I used to watch her back in the day when she was with Matt Lauer. Oh, he has all kind of controversy on his name, honey. He's one of the the Me Too movement. We're not going to talk about him right now. But Katie Couric also was, when she lost her husband years ago to colon cancer. So she's always been very active as far as early detection, screening, as far as cancer in general. But then somewhat recently, she was diagnosed. Fortunately, she was diagnosed with an early stage, a stage 1A of breast cancer, but she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she was very open about that, and she found out by going and doing her routine screening at her doctor. So it's important to do your routine screening, as we talked about in that clip. And, we'll touch on a few more people, but make sure that after we finish this live, you check out my videos. I have a couple of videos right here on this YouTube channel, Dr. Frita, where I talk about breast cancer explained, breast cancer updates, where I go into staging, the different staging and what it means. I go into the different treatments as well. So I won't do that here today, but check out my YouTube video. And now, Hoda Kotb, who's on NBC, who's been on the Today Show, although now I believe she made an announcement that she's leaving. But let's go ahead and play that clip, because she's someone who also shared that she had a diagnosis of breast cancer. But here she is, and she's also talking about the famous Seinfeld star, among many other things like Veep, Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
We love Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So she sat down with the Wall Street Journal magazine recently, and she hasn't spoken much about her cancer journey.
No, in fact, I forgot she had cancer.
Yeah. Well, it's been 5 years, and she finished treatment for stage 2 cancer. And I love the things she said. People always say that they get things from whatever their illness is, or something you gain. Not everything's a loss. And she said, quote, "I find myself living more mindfully. It's not like it's yakking at me all the time, but there's a more laser focus. I feel like anyone who's ever gone through that cancer trip or journey, I feel like your life does snap into focus.
Yeah.
It's sort of like boom, and you're like, okay, what am I doing right now? Think about if someone told you today that your life has margins.
Yeah.
You know where it started, and now you know where it could possibly end. I thought this when I had breast cancer years ago. I remember thinking, there's a beginning and an end, and I hadn't thought of that.
No.
And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to offload the things that are not
Important.
good for me,
Yeah.
serving me, working for me. And the thing that happened when I was diagnosed, I'll never forget this. I became fearless, like wildly fearless. I was always concerned. I was a pleaser. Suddenly I was like, it could be over.
Yeah.
And I remember it was shortly after I was diagnosed, there was a new hour starting here, this hour, the 4th hour. And I remember getting in the elevator at 30 Rock and hitting the 52nd floor or wherever the head honcho sat at that time. It was Jeff Zucker. I remember going up the elevator and I'm like, I'm going to ask for that job. I would never have dreamt that I was even deserving of that job. And I walked in the door and I still remember Jeff looking at me and I go, listen, I got this epiphany. You can't scare me. I've got this whole thing. And I went on some crazy, wild speech. And when I was done, I walked out the door. I went back down the lobby. My heart was pounding. I was like, oh my God, I did something scary. And I remember afterwards, with the help of Amy Rosenblum, who was working here at the time, cheering me on, I got a call and they said, we have news for you. You're going to host this hour of Today. And I thought, oh my God, if I hadn't gotten sick, I wouldn't have been brave. And if I wasn't going to be brave, I wouldn't be there and I wouldn't be here. So sometimes it's like the scariest thing in the world becomes like the thing that makes you fearless. And all of a sudden,
And don't you feel like it's how you
That's good. I really love that story that she shared, because it's true. I know I've experienced it in my life, and probably some people in the chat have experienced it as well. Put a 2 in the chat if you've ever had something that was negative on surface, like a diagnosis or a tragedy, or you didn't get a job, or you didn't get into school, or you didn't get a loan, something that was real negative in your life, and you see what Hoda's talking about, where you were able to switch that around and turn it into a positive. Put a 2 in the chat if you've ever have experienced that. I know I have, because sometimes when heavy things happen to you, or when you're told no or told you can't, you're just like, bump it. You know what I mean? Like, y'all can't stop me. I don't fear you. But with Hoda, she has shared that she was diagnosed at the age of 43 when she went to her doctor, and she had never had a mammogram before. So at the age of 43, she was diagnosed. And then Julia Louis-Dreyfus shared that she got a phone call from her doctor that she had breast cancer. And it was the day after she won her 6th Emmy Award. And she said she just started laughing hysterically, like it was a Black comedy. And then she started crying uncontrollably. So it's amazing how, you know, you can just go through the emotions. Yeah. But put a 2 in the chat if you feel hold on that, where something that's been a negative, you've been able to put that silver lining on you. And even you've gotten to a point in your life where you're just like, you know what, had it not been for that negative, that diagnosis, that losing that job, this person telling me no, breaking up with this person who probably was toxic and shouldn't have been in my life anyway. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't be here. You know, because look, we all trying to live this life. We're trying to live our healthiest, happiest lives, Shador. So we got to turn these negatives into positives. And speaking of living a healthy, happy life, make sure you click the link in the description and you download my freebie, a free PDF on 10 healthy habits for a better you and a better life. So I go over the habits that I use in my day-to-day life, not just for physical wellness, like exercise, drinking lemon water, things of that nature, but I talk about the mental as well, positive self-affirmations, meditation, all of these things to help to reduce your stress. And really, y'all know there's a mind-body connection. So check that out while we're on a positive silver lining tip. All right, as we move on to our next story, which is Cardi B. And then after that, we're going to talk about this fake dentist and these veneers. All right. And then after that, make sure you get your questions together for the live Q&A. And I will touch on just a little bit with the brain cancer for our basketball legend who passed away. So we're going to get into that. But make sure also, listen, y'all know we only have a short time here on Medical Mondays. We have 1 hour, but the party doesn't end because we have a membership now. You can be part of the Dr. Frita community, the med heads, all of y'all who are interested in your health and for advocating for yourself, advocating for others. Click the link to join the membership. With the membership, we have monthly lives. We had our first one. So if you're a member or become a member, you'll have access to that. That's where for the full entire time, you have a chance to just interact with me back and forth directly, where I answer your questions live, okay? And that's for the members. I also have some videos that are for members only, where I talk about different health content and what I'm out here just doing in these streets. But I have members only videos that you have access to. And then even for the videos that we release here, you have a first look. The different videos where I'll give you first look for the videos as a member before I release them to the public. And then of course we have, you know, loyalty badges, custom emojis, all kind of fun stuff. Don't worry, I'm still going to give you your Medical Mondays. You'll still have access to me with this general information. But if you want a little bit of extra icing on the cake, a little bit of extra sauce, icing on the cake, extra sauce, then go ahead and click the link and join our membership. All right. So as we move on to our Cardi B story, did anyone put a 2 in the chat where they felt what she was talking about, how something negative has flipped? Who? I want to know.
Yes. Quite a few 2s. We'll start with Angie. Hello,
Hi, Angie.
She says kidney cancer survivor 2020.
Congratulations. Congratulations on being a kidney cancer survivor. And of course, me as a board certified kidney doctor, I take care of many patients with kidney cancer. And it's one that sneaks up on you, right? Because you don't have there's no classic screening for kidney cancer. It's not one of the ones like breast cancer, prostate cancer, where we have routine screenings, colon cancer. It's one of the ones where you have to check out symptoms. And sometimes you don't have symptoms until late. And I'll just do real quickly. Symptoms of kidney cancer may include blood in the urine, unintentional weight loss. You might have pain, but you might not. And then sometimes it's just picked up on an ultrasound. So it's a blessing that it even got diagnosed. And so thank you for sharing and congratulations for being a survivor. Well, that's good.
Yes.
Who else?
I am paralegal.
Hi, I am paralegal. I want you to stay on as we talk about this fake dentist because he's in some trouble.
I am paralegal says 2, deny a job for the very first time, which led me to being a U.S. Army Operations Research Analysis, helping test items that benefit U.S. Army soldiers.
I love it. I love it. And had you not been denied that job, then very likely you wouldn't have gone on to this level of greatness. So sometimes what the old folks say, what is for you is for you, is not meant to be complacent or just like, oh, I'm not going to try. You keep trying, you keep pushing. But sometimes there's a reason when you're denied one door closes, it's because that wasn't your door for the other one to open. Thank you for sharing. Let's do a couple more of these and then we'll talk about Cardi B and her butt shots. Okay. I love Cardi B too, so don't even. Okay, what else? Who else?
TS placed a 2. Let me find my 2s.
Okay, hi T. So okay. So other people they feel her on the negative turn to a positive. All right. But yeah, make sure that you get your age appropriate breast cancer screening. Again, right here on this YouTube channel, I go into detail about recommendations. And they talk about, age 40 having the conversation, 45 getting screened. But remember that depending on what's going on with you, an earlier screening may be necessary. If you have a family member, like a first-degree relative who's had a breast cancer diagnosis, your doctor may recommend that you get screened 10 years before. So say you have a mom who was diagnosed at age 40, your doctor may recommend that you get screened at age 30. Also, if you have had a personal diagnosis of breast cancer, which of course is a risk factor for having it again, like with Dr. Jackie, especially if your diagnosis was under the age of 50, it's recommended that you get genetic testing, like for BRCA1, BRCA2, even PALB2. And even if you have family members who've had not only breast cancer, but also ovarian cancer, melanoma, that skin cancer, prostate cancer, that might put you at risk. So have a discussion with your doctor on whether or not you need genetic testing. But yes, we'll come back this month. This October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We'll talk more. But yeah, check out those videos and put in the comments if there's anything specific about breast cancer you want me to come back and talk about, including the fact that Black women are 40% more likely to die from breast cancer. Oh, that's the real deal. Black women get diagnosed at earlier ages with more aggressive forms of breast cancer as well. All right. We'll table that topic, but then we'll move on to Cardi B. But before we hear from Cardi B, she's talking about her butt shots. I want to make sure that y'all had a chance to check out when I had the pleasure of being on Funky Dineva's live. Funky Dineva, if you're not following him, please do. But he had a show where he was talking about BBLs, Brazilian butt lifts, butt shots, and what it is that motivates some women to get these butt shots. So let's play that clip and then we'll move into Cardi B. And as we do that, I want you in the chat, please write down what you think some complications of BBLs, butt shots, butt implants might be. What are some complications? And then after Cardi B, we'll talk about that. Have the highest mortality, the highest fatality of all cosmetic surgeries.
What is a woman feeling and what is going through her head to where she says, I need to go out and get a big old in order to feel good? We're going to have Kim Smedley on the show later on today. Kim Smedley is the woman who went to federal prison for doing black market silicone injections into people. Kim, tell me a story about maybe the saddest case.
This is the case that I did that opened up a federal investigation for me. There was a young lady and she was a stripper. In my mind, I honestly felt like I was helping people.
Dr. Frita Fisher joining us, who's going to talk to us from a medical perspective.
I'm Dr. Frita. I'm a medical doctor who has been quadruple board certified.
2 rounds of BBL.
BBLs have the highest death rate.
Can you give us the why?
When the fat is injected, sometimes it can get injected into the muscle. In the butt muscle, the gluteus maximus, you have these veins. And if the fat gets injected into the vein, that fat can travel to your heart and lungs and you can die instantly with a fat embolism.
Receive the silicone injections.
You also have the infection.
She got a flesh-eating bacteria from her BBL.
I literally got sick. I did. I had a high fever.
So it really is a life or death situation, especially the medical tourism.
Guatemala, Colombia,
the Dominican Republic, or Costa Rica, where surgeons don't like to go behind other surgeons. If you're going to get it done, you should get it done in the United States by board certified plastic surgeons.
I really wanted to just get to the psychology, the mental of what makes somebody do this. Low self-esteem is one.
So I had a very flat booty.
I was always teased about having a flat butt. They used to call me ironing board booty. It was so painful. We lay there and go through it because it's all about the self-esteem.
And then, others saw it as a vessel to make money and attract ballers.
Okay, that's good, Shador. Yeah, but make sure you check out. That was a really good segment on BBLs and butt shots and things of that nature. And now, after doing that earlier in the month, now we've learned that Cardi B shared that she actually had more butt shots removed. Go ahead and put in the chat what you think complications are, and let's listen to Cardi B be honest and transparent as she likes to always be.
I got some more butt injections removed.
Cardi B opens up about removing more of her butt injections. The rapper recently revealed how she found out she was pregnant with baby number 3 in an Instagram Live. And in the vid, she tells followers that prior to making the discovery, she was in the hospital for multiple procedures.
I'm going to keep it 1,000 with y'all. In January, right after I shot, I went and got surgery. I got some more butt injections removed because, it takes rounds to get your butt injections removed. I got some of my butt injections removed, and I also went to fix certain things of my fibrosis with surgeon made and everything.
Cardi's injections were biopolymers, a liquid silicone gel, which doctors have stated can be life-threatening and could cause a variety of health complications, including fibrosis. The celeb, who is also mother of 6-year-old Culture and 3-year-old Wave with Offset, notes that when she got 2 blood tests prior to her operation, her pregnancy went undetected. Then, a couple of months later, Cardi says she was hit with a very familiar symptom that let her know she had a bun in the oven.
I woke up one morning and my mouth tasted like copper. It literally tasted like copper. So I was like, oh my gosh, this only happened to me when I'm pregnant.
Putting her own timeline together, Cardi concluded she was around 6 or 7 weeks pregnant. However, her doctor soon clarified that was not the case.
She was like, you're not like 7 weeks pregnant or 6 weeks pregnant. I'm like, what? She's like, you're like 17 weeks pregnant. And I'm like, okay. What? She's like, actually.
Yeah. All right. So Cardi B shared, that she's getting some of her butt shots removed, which is amazing because, butt shots is something that's much less expensive than the BBLs, the Brazilian butt lifts. It's also illegal. Okay. It's illegal. But back in the day, we know that Cardi shared that she was an exotic dancer, stripper, and that is an industry where a lot of the people with whom I've spoken who used to give illegal butt injections, like Kim Smedley, who's very open. She had a federal case, went to prison and everything. Strippers, she said, were a large part of her clientele because they tended to do better when they had the butt shots. And of course, the butt shots weren't as expensive as going to a doctor. But make sure that if you do want a butt augmentation, you understand that even BBLs from plastic surgeons are the most fatal cosmetic surgery that we have. Okay, they're the most fatal. They are legal, most fatal. So make sure that you're at least going to a board certified physician. Don't go to a pop-up shop. Don't go to a place where there's low budget, high volume, because barato es caro. Cheap is expensive. Okay, if they're not charging you much money, they're probably cutting corners. But Shador, did anyone put any complications that they think can happen from BBLs or butt shots?
Yes. So I am paralegal. Says movement of the implant or body rejecting the foreign object.
Absolutely. Your body can make antibodies. So we know antibodies are meant to fight against infections, bacteria, viruses. But if you have silicone or something foreign, like if you have an implant that leaks, well, now your body's going to fight it with antibodies. But then those antibodies can also fight your body in general and give you symptoms of lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, or chronic fatigue. So that's a good one. I am paralegal.
Yeah. Belinda says infection.
Hi, Belinda. Infection is big. And if you go back and you watch that funky show that I did, the Funky Dineva show, and, I'm going to see if I can put it in my TV appearances here. I'll let you all know. But if you go to his channel, Funky Dineva, and you'll see, we talk about infections. Even Kim Smedley, who had the federal case from giving butt shots, shared that she had her own butt shots and she had high fever afterwards. And then the other young lady, Eka G, who has had 2 rounds of BBLs, shared that one of her friends had a flesh-eating bacteria. But what happens, as you can imagine, when you're getting the butt shots or you're getting the surgery right there by the anus, the bottom, that's where all the action happens. That's where you have bowel movements. And of course, bowel movements are full of E. coli, Klebsiella, other bacteria that can get into the wound and infect it. So infection, overwhelming sepsis is another big one. Anyone else? Before we
no other guesses, but TS asked, how can they safely remove the injection materials, or what if it has already traveled throughout the body?
Okay, so that's a good question. I do want to say the number 1 cause of death or fatality from BBLs, it's fat embolism. I talk about that on Funky Dineva show. And it's when fat is injected into a vein and that fat travels to the heart and lungs, and you can die instantly from a fat embolism. That's the most common cause of fatality from the BBLs. And remember, the butt shots are illegals. The butt implants, not recommended. Those things can flip, leak, you can sit on them. But how do they remove it? Well, they can go in, and if it's something that is like a silicone or something that can be seen by an X-ray and ultrasound, then literally they go in surgically, and it's not really a beautiful, lovely, artistic procedure. It can be kind of rough, where they actually have to move, scrape the silicone or whatever the material is, and they oftentimes have to remove a person's actual butt muscle, okay, when the silicone or when whatever the material is has adhered to it or scarred to it. And in that panel discussion I did, Kim Smedley shared that actually some of her butt muscle had to be removed, which of course can leave you with somewhat of an asymmetric or a deformity, quite frankly, right, in removing it. So they remove it the way they remove it. But if you're thinking, it's already in there, it's scarred, it's stuck to the tissue, you're right, which means sometimes you have to remove your actual buttock muscle and leave you with definitely not the cosmetic look you want it to go for. Yeah. It's not glamorous.
Alexis shared. Hi, Alexis.
Hi, Alexis.
He says a family member of mine got butt injections about 10 years ago. She had a stroke, but does not have hypertension or other health issues. We were thinking it may be her butt injections.
And that's something, I'm really sorry that happened to your family member. And, you really may never know, because if indeed little bits of silicone went to her heart and lungs, so she had pulmonary emboli, you just don't know where the silicone could have traveled. And you also don't know if she could have had the autoimmune reaction that we talked about, that I am paralegal mentioned. Did she get antibodies to certain parts of her body, her blood vessels, that made her more susceptible when she wouldn't have been susceptible before? Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. That's unfortunate. It's important, y'all. No matter how, nice and shiny and quick getting a $3,000 butt implant might seem, make sure you put that value on your life. Actual BBLs from board certified plastic surgeons can be anywhere from $12,000 to $18,000. And of course, they're not typically going to be covered. It's a cosmetic surgery, but you have to put the value on your life. If you don't have the money to go to the person with the expertise, then perhaps it's not for you. But please don't get the butt shots. Please don't get butt implants. Cardi B has access now to whatever procedure she wants. And you see she's getting her butt shots removed. That should tell you something. All right. Thank you. Y'all make sure y'all go ahead and hit like. Pause what you're doing. Stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the pause and put like, please. Like and share this video. We're about to get into our last topic, and then we're going to close out this room. And it's the fake dentist. I know y'all have comments. So go ahead, put your comments about this fake dentist up here. Put and ask a couple questions. We'll get to a couple questions. But if you want to have a full session with me for a live Q&A for the entire time, make sure you join the membership. Join the Dr. Frita membership. We have live Q&As where I'm talking to you back and forth the entire time. We had fun with our last one. And I'm giving you members only videos. But yeah, let's talk about this fake dentist, these veneers. And I'll have y'all also put what complications you think might happen with veneers, especially if you're dealing with someone who's not really a dentist. Let's roll this clip, Shador.
An Atlanta man who went viral on TikTok for veneer transformations is now in the Fulton County Jail. Good evening. I'm George Estevez, in for Justin Farmer.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linda Stouffer. Authorities say the man is not a dentist and never has been, and they say he's been putting patients at risk. In a Channel 2 Action News exclusive, consumer investigator Justin Gray is live in Northeast Atlanta after going along with investigators who raided the business. Justin.
Yeah, these are the 8 felony criminal warrants. Investigators still there at this hour. They called this Operation Toothache, and a deputy district attorney figured out what was going on here by seeing a viral TikTok. Investigators raided what looks like a high-end dental practice in Northeast Atlanta. Check out social media. You see the specialty of A-List Smiles Atlanta, veneers.
It does look reputable. It does look professional, and that's part of the scam.
To his 157,000 Instagram followers, Brandon Dillard promoted himself as Atlanta's top veneer specialist and trainer. But he's not showing off that expensive smile in this booking photo on 8 felony charges, including practicing dentistry and medicine without a license and theft by deception. Is Brandon Dillard a dentist?
Brandon Dillard is not a dentist. He's never been a dentist. And as much as he may want to play one on Instagram, he is not one.
Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis tells me only licensed dentists can do this kind of work in Georgia. But Dillard has been operating here for years in plain sight.
If you went to this and you thought it was a dental office and you looked at the equipment, it appears to be legitimate. But that's what the best fraudsters do, is they do everything they can to make themselves look legitimate. And in this case, this is an illegitimate operation. The problem is the consequences are to one's health.
Brandon Dillard also showed off his veneer training course on social media, where for $6,000, he taught people from around the country to be a veneer specialist. But there is no such thing legally as a veneer specialist or tech in Georgia.
They were enticing people to come in to take these classes so that you could get rich too, but you were getting rich doing something that's completely illegal.
Patients showing up here expecting to have dental work instead found police. They say that people don't have a license and they're just arresting them all.
You a blood clot. Where my money at? What you talking about?
DA Willis says patients are not only the victims of monetary fraud, but their health is at risk here too.
We have had dentists not just locally, but from outside of the state also come and report that they were concerned about their patients who had received services at this location and the long-term effects of damages.
Shador, you know that's a mess. You know that's a mess. Put a 3 in the chat if y'all had heard about our Atlanta fake dentist doing veneers, and not only doing veneers illegally, he hadn't gone to anybody's dental school. He is not a dentist, but also he was having training classes where for $6,000 you can get trained by him, a non-dentist, to do some illegal work. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so put a 3 in the chat if you had heard about this fake dentist of Fulton County. Oh my goodness. All right. And then also, did anyone put any complications they think could happen?
No, so I am paralegal.
Hi, I am paralegal.
I haven't heard of the fake dentist, but my dentist can be found. Never heard of the fake dentist. Going to try a laser to find a cavity. Seems fake veneers could be poisonous and make your kidneys fail.
Okay, so and I am paralegal. One thing that is important since we're talking about the legal tip. You are able to Google and research your doctor's credentials. So if you go to see a dentist or someone claiming to be a veneer specialist, look them up, find out if they have a license to practice dentistry and if they've ever gotten their dental degree, okay, their DDS, DMD dental degree. So make sure you look it up because it is illegal to be this veneer specialist. And there are all kinds of nightmare stories that have happened. And so with him particularly, even dentists, because of course, since this story hit, I've talked to different people who actually have gone to dental school and who are licensed. And they say that the work that he did and the work that he was displaying on his social media, where he has over 150,000 followers, that it looked like good work. So aesthetically and how it looked, he's giving you a decent price and it looks like good work, but it's deeper than that. And so I'll talk about some of the complications. And you can tell me if anyone pops up with any complications. So one thing is, before getting veneers, you have to have good dental health, because say you have a decaying teeth, a cavity, a cracked tooth. If you put a veneer on top of that, well, that decay is still occurring and you can lose that tooth, or even worse, some infection from dental caries or an infected tooth can actually go into your brain. You can get a brain abscess. Yes, this is what can happen when you have dental infection that's not taken care of. And so all of that can happen. Now, a trained dentist will know to look, give you x-rays, give you a proper exam. They'll know how to treat the underlying problem before, they put on veneers. Or if the complication happens after a veneer, they'll know how to handle the problem because they are doctors, okay? Dentists are doctors, not just some cosmetic, happenstance. The other thing that can happen, as reported with some of his clients, the veneers can crack. You can get chipped veneers if they're not done properly. They might look good at first, but if they are not done properly, well, now you have chipped teeth. And then someone who's not a dentist might shave your natural tooth down too much, right? And so now you're sitting here with little nubbins looking like a jack-o'-lantern with your real teeth. And now you have these fakely press-on teeth from someone who was not licensed. These are just a couple of the complications. Has anyone else popped in, Shador, with any complications?
Yes, I am paralegal back. Sepsis.
Sepsis, exactly. So like what I was talking about with the brain abscess or infection, you can get an overwhelming infection, and someone who's not trained as a doctor, a dentist, a doctor of dentistry, might not understand what prophylactic or preventive antibiotics they should have given you, or to have the clinical acumen to know when to send you to a medical doctor, infectious disease doctor. Dentists are doctors. Okay. When I was at Mathew Medical College doing my training, and we were dissecting and learning the head and neck, the dentists were in there. Okay. Not just learning about teeth, but the entire body. Okay. And how everything works together. So you need someone who's a licensed professional, a dentist. Also, if you have poor gums, okay, if you have gum disease, a dentist will look and make sure that your gum disease is corrected before putting on veneers. But someone who's not a dentist, like this young man, okay, might just put the veneers on there, and now you sit up here with failing gums, lose your bone, where you lose your veneers and the teeth. Okay, so it's not just a cosmetic thing. And again, cheap is expensive. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna close on out, Shador. But as we get ready to close, do we have any last minute questions or anything?
We do have some last minute questions, Dr. Fisher. You were going to speak on brain cancer.
Yes. Just quick. So I don't know the type of cancer Dikembe Mutombo had, but I will just say this: there are different types of brain cancer, and just because someone has a brain tumor, that doesn't mean it's cancer. Now, in his case, they're saying cancer, so we know it's actually malignant, okay? But there are brain tumors that can be benign, okay, like meningiomas or pituitary adenomas can be benign, as in not cancer, but those still have to be addressed, because especially if they grow and they cause a pressure inside of the head, inside of the skull, that can end up being life-threatening. But as far as malignancy, about 25,000 people in the US each year will get a brain cancer, a malignancy. And the typical person really only has a 1% risk of getting brain cancer. And so unfortunately, these were the cards that Mutombo was dealt. As far as the most common one to cause fatality, it's the glioblastoma. Again, I don't know the type that Mutombo had, but you're familiar with, of course, President Joe Biden's son, Beau Biden, who passed away from brain cancer, and he reportedly had the glioblastoma. And then Senator Ted Kennedy, right, the son of Joseph Kennedy, who was a brother of JFK, actually passed away with brain cancer, and he shared that his was a glioblastoma. There's all kinds of other cancers as well, but just make sure that we don't have any set screening for everyone as far as brain cancer, but some symptoms that may occur in people with breast cancer could be headaches, double vision, blurry vision, losing balance, nausea, especially morning nausea. But make sure you consult with your physician. And oftentimes there's no family history. You know, we believe that in some cases, like maybe 5% of the cases, there's a genetic link. But that's just a little short, little word on brain cancer. Okay.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Frita. Do we have 2 questions before we close out, if I may?
Okay, we'll get to these couple questions. And for those of you who have more questions, join the membership, and we'll do it on the membership only live. Also, if you have just something you want to talk about with me one-on-one, I do have a service, a telehealth concierge service, where you can book time with me from anywhere in the world. We'll do it by telehealth. I'll go over your history extensively, give you a second opinion, or just give you my information based on what you've shared. Remember, I've been board certified in nephrology, so I'm a kidney doctor, high blood pressure doctor. I have been board certified in internal medicine, pediatrics, and obesity medicine. So I really can talk about a wide realm of topics, but that's if you want to have a one-on-one consultation. Click that link to the telehealth service. All right, so we'll hit these couple of questions, and then we're out of here. Who do we have, Shador?
All right, Dr. Frita, before I get to my question, shout out to Ms. Glenda, new member.
Yay. Thank you, Ms. Glenda. Welcome. Okay. Stay tuned for the emails and the notifications. And please go ahead and check out the membership videos that are members only that I have. I'm going to film another one as well. Members only. We'll see what topic. All right. Thank you for joining. We'll have fun. Mm-hmm.
Our first question from Ms. Belinda.
Hi, Ms. Belinda.
She says, I just went for a breast exam and got good news. However, they said I had dense breasts. Can you explain that?
Okay, yes. So I'm glad you got good news from the breast exam, meaning they didn't find any lumps or anything that was worrisome. But by your having dense breast, that means that it may be a little more challenging to actually see if you had any type of a breast cancer or lesion if they just did a traditional 2D mammogram. If you have dense breast, then you are someone who is a classic candidate for a 3D mammogram where they can see it more closely. And also, when you have dense breast, they really have to push to feel for a lump or a nodule, because the breast tissue is thicker and more difficult to penetrate than if you had really soft, fatty breast. So yeah, so just make sure that consult with your physician, of course, but when it's time for mammogram screenings, 3-dimensional. I would not do 2-dimensional for you. 3-dimensional. And if they still can't see everything because of dense breasts, they might require that you get an ultrasound or an MRI. You just need a little more intensive screening. But a lot of us have dense breasts and get the 3D mammograms. But congratulations on the good news.
All right, thank you. And then from Sheree, hello.
Hi, Sheree. Welcome back.
She says, I've been diagnosed with hypercalcemia because of hyperparathyroidism. Should I watch my calcium intake from food? Not yet told.
Okay. All right, Sheree. So sorry you're having to deal with this diagnosis. I will say, again, what I'm giving you as information is it does not replace the advice of your physician. But in general, let's talk. So for hypercalcemia, which is when you have elevated levels of calcium in the blood, that can be an issue because hypercalcemia can cause kidney stones. It can lead to dehydration. It can lead to kidney failure. It can lead to peptic ulcer disease. It can lead to even some kind of mental fogginess, some mental changes. So hypercalcemia really can be an issue. And fortunately for you, you've already realized the cause because there's a bunch of causes of hypercalcemia, but one of them is hyperparathyroidism. So it's good that you actually have the cause because the answer is not just watching calcium in your diet. It's taking care of the hyperparathyroidism, because what happens to your parathyroid glands, we have 4 parathyroid glands, one in each corner of our thyroid. You know, your thyroid gland is that butterfly shaped gland right here in the front of your neck. So you have 4 little parathyroid glands, like balls, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the front of your neck. And what the parathyroid glands do, they do many things, but they help to regulate the calcium in your blood. And when you have a hyperparathyroidism, that means that the parathyroid is working overtime and it's trying to get you high calcium in the blood, even when you already have high calcium, and it pulls it from whatever source it can. And guess where it will pull it from? It pulls it from a source that's very rich in calcium in your body, your bones. Okay. So it can lead you to having really weak bones and predispose you to fractures. Okay. Among other things. So consult with your doctor. But for you, since you have the diagnosis of hyperparathyroidism, the solution is diet is just a little secondary part of the solution. The real solution is treating the hyperparathyroidism. And it may involve a parathyroidectomy where they remove the parathyroid gland. They may have to give you a scan to find out which thyroid is producing too much which parathyroid is producing too much parathyroid hormone. Once they identify that, then they very likely will recommend a parathyroidectomy. But again, consult with your physician. What I say is information. It does not replace the advice of your physician. I wish you the best. Be well.
Absolutely. And Dr. Frita, are you on TikTok? Chatting Elise.
I am on TikTok. I am on TikTok where I do some short form content over there. And I used to do TikTok lives. I might get back into it, but I am on TikTok as dr.frita. I'm very heavily on Instagram. That's probably where I'm the most interactive. When I just have a random thought, child, I just go put it on Instagram. Because why not? So definitely follow me on Instagram. We're up to over 46,000 subscribers on Instagram. And then, of course, you see me here on YouTube where we have over 780,000 subscribers. We have short form content here on YouTube. We have our videos. We have our live videos. And, of course, we have the membership. The membership is the piece where I get a chance to talk to you the most interactively. Yep, but I'm on TikTok. TikTok. Right. Don't stop. All right. Listen, before y'all leave, please thumbs up, give us a like. It really helps the algorithm. It lets YouTube know that we're here and we're giving evidence-based information. All right. As always, I appreciate you for joining us. I appreciate you for joining us here on Medical Monday. We talk about all of the hot health topics in the headlines. We will see you next Monday. And again, make sure you click those links that I mentioned, like the link for membership. And go ahead, give us a follow on Instagram at dr.frita. We give evidence-based information, and we really want you to live your healthiest, happiest life and to be empowered to advocate for yourself, for others, just to be healthy. Can't we all just be healthy? Let's try.
Thank you, Dr. Frita.
Thank you, Shador, as always, for being my wonderful co-host. I really appreciate you.